Hi friends, are we looking in the wrong places when we read these big MIT and McKinsey headlines about AI? When I read these 95% of big corporate AI projects are failing, not because AI doesn't work, but because the companies are searching for success in the wrong places. So here in this video, we'll unpack the hidden AI paradox, why the official story says AI is failing, while the real revolution is happening off the books in something called shadow AI. And most importantly, we'll break down what this tiny 5% of handful winners and know why they are winning. As I'm reading all the statistics that are making a lot of people in the business world nervous and skeptical about this whole AI revolution, but what if the official story we are all hearing is missing the real story within that? Let's look at the big number here that they are sharing, 95%. This comes from a report out of MIT, and when it dropped, it made serious waves. But what does that number actually mean? It means that after all the hype, all the billions of dollars being poured into AI, the vast majority of these big official corporate AI projects are not moving the needle. They are not producing the real measurable return on investment. They're slowly fizzling out in terms of their ROI. Which raises an uncomfortable question. Is AI actually delivering, or is it just delivering these headlines? That brings us to the core question of this whole thing. Is the AI failing us? Or are we just measuring it in the wrong places? Are we looking for success in all the wrong places and putting this number on top of it? So let's get to the topic of official AI versus shadow AI. This is why I wanted to make this video. Let's be clear about what that 90% failure rate even is talking about. It's lesser focused on what we are calling official AI. The big problem with these formal projects is that it comes from the top. It's laser focused on what we call official AI, the big formal projects that come from the top down. The software it buys, the pilot programs announced and released for press. This is the shift that gets tracked, measured, and put in quarterly review reports. It's the only slice of the pie that leadership usually even sees. Unofficially, almost 90% of employees are using AI already, using some AI tools on their own in everyday single day-to-day life, in their work life as well. It clearly proves that AI revolution is happening absolutely at the workforce level. It's not just happening at the bosses level where they are looking, or these quarterly reports that they are looking. So it's not happening at that official level where people are using AI for the certain things. They're all using it behind the scenes. And it's called shadow AI. I use it all the time. We all have done it before. When you skip that slow, clunky company software or an app and just open ChatGPT to run your code or test a code or do a research topic, fix the code and summarize the report, that's what is called shadow AI. Why? Because it's just faster. Employees aren't waiting around for permissions or getting access. This is where we see real productivity hiding. Completely off the books, people are using it to get their work done faster, to show the value for themselves more than the quarterly reports that bosses are looking. So if most of the real action is happening at this shadow AI, then what about the successful 5% companies that we are talking about? What are they doing right with these official projects? It turns out they have totally different playbook. So first one is called build versus buy. If you try to build your own AI from the ground up, you're probably going to fail about 2/3 of the time. But if you buy a solution from a company that specializes in it, your chances of success rate are literally doubled. So winners integrate tools that already work, and they don't reinvent the wheel with their internal agents unless they really know or have a capability of building those agentic solutions internally. And the last point about where they focus is important. The data shows that this massive disconnect between where companies are throwing money and where they are actually seeing the value is hiding. About half of all AI spending goes into sales and marketing currently. Why? Because it's easy to measure, as well as it looks great on the board slides. But the real money and the real biggest savings, they are coming from automating all the boring stuff, the back office. For example, in the BPO, business process outsourcing, they're saving around $2 to $10 million. So example for outsourcing finance or HR or procurement tasks to outside firms or offshore firms is saving them a lot of money. By using AI to automate these workflows, companies can eliminate or drastically reduce these BPO contracts. Then also reducing this external spend, replacing consultants instead of hiring consultants to handle these repetitive strategy decks, data crunching, and operational reporting. AI fills this gap very well, and it's also much more efficient. Savings are coming here and replacing high-cost consulting hours, as well as lower-cost AI-driven solutions that are replacing these high-paying consultants. So by looking at this, we can see that the top 5% of funding of millions of dollars, by cutting outsourcing contracts, slashing agency costs, and using AI to bring that workforce back in-house. A VP of procurement summed up this challenge very perfectly. If you buy a tool that makes my team faster, how do I prove that to my CEO? If it doesn't directly make a sales or cut a cost that's easy to see on a spreadsheet, that measurement problem is exactly what's happening when we are picking up these projects. So we are picking up these valuable projects that get ignored. That measurement problem is exactly why valuable projects get ignored in favor of the flashier ones that make the news but do not show value. So where does this all lead? If smart money today is about automating specific tasks, what's it going to make it move from just using tools to actually transform the whole business? The answer lies in fixing a huge fundamental problem. I call it the learning gap. For quick tasks like writing an email or summarizing 70% of use of AI, it's already preferred, but it's shadow AI. People do it their own way. Don't invest too much money into all those things. So the gap here I'm learning is for the repetitive tasks, 70% of people are okay to use AI and they prefer AI. But for big, complex, week-long projects, forget it. 90% of people as well as projects still want to rely on some kind of human-led innovation. That's where you're not replacing all of your human force or the key players in that area. You cannot replicate these tasks. But for big, complex or week-long projects, forget it. 90% of them doesn't even want to use AI for certain things that are high value. So why? Because today's AI is terrible in terms of memory. It forgets the context. It can't handle high stakes and long-term work. So if you're working on something for a few days, you need to provide that context again and again. In those cases, you need to have an agent that can actually be agentic more than a single agent that can do an action one time. And that's where the next big things are coming in my view, the agentic AI. These are the systems designed to solve the memory problem. Context engineering and other things, we are increasing the context memory, but also when you run long problems, you need to provide relevance and sub-agents. So they remember what you're doing and what you've been working for the last year or 6 months or 5 months, and they can learn, take feedback, and manage these complex projects for weeks at a time. So once AI has that memory and autonomy, it stops being just a tool and becomes a collaboration partner or a teammate for you. We are left with this one big question to chew on. Once AI can learn, remember, and act on its own, are we just getting a better software, or are we on the verge of completely rebuilding what a company even looks like with these agents that can actually do the tasks for you and collaborate with you? Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. Bye.